He limped through the bustling boardwalk with a cane in one hand and medals gleaming faintly on his tattered jacket, mocked. Pushed and humiliated, they saw just a broken Marine. Until minutes later, a black SUV screeched to a halt and 6 Navy SEALs stepped out. And what happened next made every soul in that crowd wish they'd never been born. If stories of redemption, justice, and raw courage make your heart race, smash that subscribe button for more dramatic tales that leave a mark. Asterisk, it was just past noon when he arrived, dragging his left leg and tapping rhythmically with a scratched-up cane. A figure clad in a dusty military jacket worn over jeans that had seen better days, medals pinned across his chest like memories. No one wanted to hear about it anymore. Eyes shaded under a faded cap that read, "Us Marine once, always a man forgotten by the nation he bled for." Moving through a sunny California boardwalk teeming with tourists, skateboarders, vendors, and the occasional swaggering influencer live streaming their carefully curated lives. But none stopped to wonder about the man who walked among them. Not until the laughter started. Sharp and cruel, from a group of teens clustered around their camera phones like a pack of hyenas scenting weakness. Pointing and mimicking his. Limp, their leader, a tall kid in designer sunglasses, stepping into the Marine's path and bumping into him deliberately. Making him stumble, laughter exploding like fireworks as someone shouted, "Nice strut, Grandpa." And another added, "You dropped something, soldier boy? Maybe your dignity?" And though the Marine said nothing, merely righted himself and kept moving with a slow dignity. They followed, throwing paper, spitting words sharper than fists. One. Even tossing a half-drunk soda at his back that splattered across his jacket like blood. Drawing a gasp from a mother with 2 kids, but she didn't intervene. Only hurried away, because these kids were loud and wild and she didn't want to get involved, and maybe that was the worst part. The silence of the many, while the few tormented the lone. And yet the Marine kept walking until he stopped at a small bench near a flagpole, pausing to rest, breathing slow and steady while the hyenas circled. One filming it all, narrating, "Look at this crusty war fossil taking up space, man. We're live on Insta. Let's make him famous." And they laughed again. But suddenly the air shifted. A deep rumble echoed from the parking lot as a matte black SUV screeched to a halt in front of the boardwalk. Its engine purring like a beast on a leash, and out stepped 6 figures in black shirts, cargo pants, mirrored sunglasses, and the unmistakable gait of men who had seen battle and lived to tell the tale, their bodies rippling with quiet authority. And even the sun seemed to dim as they approached in formation, eyes scanning the scene until one, the tallest with a scar running from his temple to his jaw, locked eyes with the Marine and said, "You all right, Gunny?" And the Marine finally stood, his face unreadable as he nodded. Took a little heat, that's all, and then everything exploded, not into violence, but into consequence, as the tallest SEAL turned to the teens and asked with a voice like, "A storm? Which one of you assaulted this man?" And for a heartbeat there was silence, then shaky denials, then nervous chuckles, till one muttered, "We didn't touch him." But the SEAL's eyes narrowed, and he said, "You think this is a joke?" And without raising a hand, he stepped closer. And suddenly the bravado drained from the teens like water down a sink. Because there's something about a man who has looked death in the eye and survived. It makes boys realize they are just boys. And then came the moment no one expected. The Marine pulled a battered phone from his pocket and played a recording. He'd been recording the whole time. Their voices, their laughter, the soda splatter, the mockery. And the tallest SEAL smiled grimly. That's assault, harassment, public indecency. And it's all on tape. And within seconds, the other SEALs had taken statements from bystanders, several of whom now found their courage and spoke up, including the mother who apologized to the Marine with tears in her eyes. "I should have done something," she said, and he just nodded. "Now you did." And as the police arrived, called by one of the SEALs, while the rest kept the teens frozen in place with sheer presence, the crowd gathered. Filming, whispering, shocked as the same teens who'd mocked a war hero were cuffed and led away. One screaming, "This isn't fair," and another crying, "My dad's a lawyer." But the Marine just sat back down, leaned on his cane, and muttered, "Tell your dad to teach you respect." And the crowd clapped, not loud, not forced, but real, like a storm breaking, and then came the second twist. One of the SEALs pulled out a crumpled envelope and handed it to the Marine, saying, "Command wanted you to have this. It's late, but it's right." And inside was a letter signed by the Secretary of Defense, awarding the Marine a long overdue Silver Star for an act of heroism in Kandahar, a story none of those teens would have known involved him dragging two wounded comrades across a minefield under sniper fire, losing his leg in the process, and still managing to return fire and hold the perimeter alone for 47 minutes until evac arrived. And when someone asked why it took so long to get the medal, the Marine shrugged. They forgot. "But that's all right. I didn't do it for a medal." And someone else shouted, "You're a damn hero." And the Marine smiled for the first time, a flicker of pride warming his tired eyes. But just then a young girl, no more than 10, walked up and held out a crumpled dollar bill and said softly, "For your soda." And the Marine looked at her, tears slipping down his cheek, and said, "Thank you, sweetheart. You just bought me more than a drink." And the SEALs saluted him in front of everyone, crisp and solemn, a gesture not for show but for brotherhood. And just as they turned to leave, the Marine said, "Hey boys," and they paused. "Next time, bring beer." And the tallest one laughed. "Only if you stop getting yourself in trouble," and they left. But the story didn't end there by evening. The video had gone viral. Millions watching as a nation was reminded what respect looks like, what valor feels like, and who we become when we forget both. And by morning, the Marine had received a full honor parade invite. His GoFundMe, created by the little girl's father, had raised over $500,000 for veterans in need, and the teens. One issued a public apology on camera, tears streaming, as he admitted he never understood sacrifice until now. And while the Marine didn't respond publicly, someone close to him said he watched the apology and simply nodded. Kid learned something, because for him, that was enough. Justice wasn't always loud, or brutal, or quick, but when it came wrapped in humility and brotherhood, it had a weight that could level cities and lift hearts. And though he returned to his quiet life soon after, locals say they see him now and then, walking straighter, smile easier, still wearing his jacket, medals gleaming a little brighter, and every time he passes, people nod or salute, and no one dares mock the limp of a man who stood for a country that once forgot him, till a few SEALs made sure no one ever would again. Want more powerful stories that grip your soul and twist your heart? Subscribe now and never miss another unforgettable tale.